Every town has a ghost story that's been passed down through the generations. But what if those legends were true? My name is Miranda Young, and I'm the Ghost Biker. Hey everybody, happy Thursday night. I'm your host, the Ghost Biker, and you're watching the Ghost Biker Garage. And I'm so excited to be here tonight for another exciting evidence review from a live that we did 2 weeks ago. And so thank you guys so much for tuning in. I've been looking forward to it all day. Hope everyone is doing well. I'm telling you, we have been kicking off June with a bang. If you watched last week, we had the lovely Miss Letriana Brown on the show, and we talked about kind of a fitting and timely topic about haunted objects as well as psychic abilities. Letriana is re-releasing 2 of her books, and so we talked about that. So it was really nice to have a guest on the show, and then talking about we've been kind of going through and investigating this haunted object over the last really since gosh, I guess it was since May, we or maybe even March, that we've been doing investigations at the bank and with this haunted object. So or with this active historic object, I should say. I'm not going to necessarily say it's haunted, but it was really cool to have her on to kind of break that up and talk a little bit about that. But and then the week before, we investigated the World War II military cot over at the historic First National Bank Building, and that's what we're going to be talking about and reviewing tonight. So before we get into that, just want to say hello to all the lovely folks over here in the chat room. Again, thank you so much for tuning in. Hello to John Keller. It's always good to see you. Nancy Weems, I hope you're doing well and staying safe. You know, we had a dry spell of weather around here last week. I think we had, for the first time, 3 days of no rain in a row. And that is, of course, changed. And this week we're back to having some ridiculous storms. So thankfully right now it's kind of got a break in the weather. It's clear right now, but I think there's some more storms that's supposed to move in here later on tonight. So hope you guys are staying safe. Good evening to Mr. Bob Burnell. It's always wonderful to see you. Daryl Paulette there with Clover Hill Village and the haunted Appomattox Jail. We gotta have you on here sometime here in the very near future to talk about the jail. I know you've been advertising that, you've made that announcement, so we got to have you on the show to talk about that, because we absolutely love Clover Hill Village and like to see them doing well. So we need to have you on, sir, to talk about your other location there. Hello to Miss Sonia Thompson. I hope you're having a nice evening there. Miss Jolly Goins, hello. Thank you so much for tuning in. We've got Karen Ann Daniels there in the house. Ronnie Anderson with Bedford Paranormal. Hello. Always a pleasure to see you, sir. And Nancy makes a wonderful point here. Be sure to insert those earbuds, place on those headphones, because we're going to be watching this episode and reviewing the evidence there. Before we get into that, like I said, we have really been kicking June off. If you tuned in, we did not have a Jailhouse Informant podcast earlier this afternoon. My business partner, Dr. Christy Sumner, she's out of the country enjoying some family time over in Switzerland. And so we decided not to do that show tonight. But if you tuned in earlier this past week, we had the anniversary of the very, very tragic event that took place at the historic Scott County Jail, which was the brutal execution and lynching of Jerome Boyett and Harvey Winchester. That was our last execution via mob mountain justice that took place there at the historic Scott County Jail back in June of 1933. On the night of June 8th, Harvey Winchester and Jerome Boyett were taken out by a mob of 25 people, and they were executed unjustly for their alleged crimes that they had committed. They didn't get their day in court, but the mob decided that they were going to enact justice, which was something that was very common that happened at our jail. The jail was always under constant threat of mobs busting in and taking inmates out, and we've had more inmates to be taken out via mob mountain justice versus inmates who have escaped from the jail. We've only ever had 2 inmates escape from the jail, and we have 6 recorded mob executions. So, like I said, the jail was under constant threat. But this event happened on June 8th of 1933, and so we thought that we would come in. Christy and I came in and we did a live investigation this past Sunday night to see if we got any activity. I know some of you folks did tune in, and it was definitely an interesting night. It was actually an unusually quiet night. Got some different theories on that, and some of those theories actually come from you all who watched. I think that our spirits had been threatened not to speak and not to talk about what they had experienced. And fascinatingly enough, they didn't want to talk and they didn't want to interact there at the jail. And that was the only hits that we got on the tripwire, was when we were asking if they had been informed to keep quiet. So it was a great live. If you didn't get to catch that during the live, it was only I think it was only an hour live. We might have been live for just a little bit longer, but it was a relatively short live. So you can go back and you can watch that. There's a link on my Facebook page, also on the jail's YouTube channel. Kind of don't really care about promoting Facebook's lives anymore because Facebook does not keep those on the page any longer than 30 days. They don't store those very long. So you can go back and you can watch all of those past lives on the historic Scott County Jail YouTube channel there. And love to know your thoughts. Love to know some of your theories on that. Let's see. Let me just check the comments over here. Mr. Bob says, good for Chris to take a vacation. She has earned it, most definitely. And hello to Sylvain. Always good to see you on here. Hope you're having a good evening as well. Okay, want to talk briefly about a few events that we've got coming up. So June is being kicked off with a bang. Now, we did go in and we were this past Saturday, we were supposed to have our rolling through history ride and museum tour there at the historic Scott County Jail, but due to the weather, we did end up postponing that. We postponed that to our rain out date of June 28th. And we've actually got quite a few people who have already got tickets to this. When you purchase your ticket, let me pull myself out of the screen here. When you purchase your ticket, you do receive a ride map as well as your rider's packet that I will email to you. And this ride, it's going to be kickstands up at 10 a.m. And we've got our starting location there in Harriman, Tennessee. And this is a 98-mile motorcycle ride with a 1-hour lunch stop there at the historic R.M. Brooks General Store. R.M. Brooks is going to be having their Biker Appreciation Day, and they have postponed that to coincide with our ride that's going to take place on June 28th. And so we made the decision to change the date for both events out of the abundance of caution and safety for our riders. So R.M. Brooks is going to have live music all day long. They're going to have, they've got some special stickers for the store there, and then also got some giveaways and stuff that they're going to be doing throughout the day. So we're going to have a 1-hour stop there, and then you're going to end with a guided tour of the historic Scott County Jail Museum. We'll be giving you a free poker chip with your ride. May even have some stickers as well there. And I'm hoping, fingers crossed, I'm hoping to have a new shirt design that should be ready by the June 28th bike ride. So that's going to be something special for our bikers there. So if you're looking for something really fun to do, we have changed that date. That's going to be June 28th. And last year we sold out. We don't have a cap on the tickets just yet, but I am going to cap that ride if I think we've sold 6 spaces so far. But I am going to cap it if it gets too high, because I like to keep the rides kind of small, because that way they're more manageable. When you've got a lot of bikers on some of these back roads like this, it can. I tell you, one ride we had 101 bikes, and for one person leading that and another person there in the middle, that it's a little bit hard to manage. So we don't want to do that again. Um, if we have a lot of bikes and a lot of interest in it, we'll actually open another date so that we can accommodate our riders on that. So that is exactly what we'll do. So that's going to be coming up on June 28th. Tomorrow is Friday the 13th, and what a better way than to celebrate Friday the 13th, but with a tour of the historic Scott County Jail Museum. We've already got a tour going tomorrow night for our flashlight tour. We've got 4 spots sold already. So that means that we've got 6 spots still available. Let's see. Yeah, 6 spots still available. And you can book those tickets. They do have to be booked in advance. You can get those at historicscottcojail.com, or you can visit historyhighwayshaunts.com and click on the Historic Scott County Jail tab to book your ticket for tomorrow night's flashlight tour. We also have a flashlight tour running on Saturday night that we still have. I believe we have on that one 6 spots have sold. We cap all these at 10. So I believe we have 4 tickets available for Saturday night's tour if you want to come. Jail's been very active lately, with the exception of the Boyett anniversary. It's been very active. So I hope you'll come out, take a tour. I'm working both shifts. So come and either come see me during the day for one of our guided or self-guided museum tours, or join us for the spookier side of things and do a flashlight tour this weekend, because we've got them available all weekend long, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday nights. Okay, so like I said, that's going on. I do want to go ahead and give a heads up about a really cool event that you've probably heard us talk a little bit about. We were teasing about this early on in the year, but I wanted to go ahead and put this out here. Goblin Con. It's in honor of the Hopkinsville Goblin, or the Kelly Little Green Men. And that is going to be the Goblin Con UFO and Paranormal Expo, taking place on October 17th and 18th in Hopkinsville, Kentucky, at the Bruce Convention Center. And the city of Hopkinsville, or Visit Hopkinsville, is the one that's putting this event on. And it just, to me, when you have a city come together celebrating either their local cryptid or local story that they have, it's going to be a good event, because a lot of people and a lot of effort come together to put these events on. So tickets are going to go on sale August 1st. This is the 70th anniversary of the encounter of the Hopkinsville Goblin. So excited to be part of this. Going to be there representing the historic Scott County Jail and historic Rugby After Dark. Both myself and Dr. Christy Sumner will be there. I'll also be talking about ghost biker explorations. I'm going to be doing a special presentation on that. Eric asked if on this one if I would talk about do like a paranormal 101 on that. So we're going to be talking about different pieces of equipment and some of the different evidence that has been that I've captured on this. And I know Chris is going to be talking about the paranormal fact or fiction. She's going to be diving in on some of the equipment and talking about some of the theories behind some of the pieces of equipment, and fact or fiction, if it's a good method, a good piece of equipment to use. So yeah, that's coming up. Stay tuned. Be on the lookout for when those tickets go on sale. It's going to be a really cool event, and we'll be talking a whole lot more about it. We've had Eric on the show. I've had him on the Ghost Biker Garage. I've also had him on the on the Jailhouse Informant podcast. We had him there doing a book signing earlier this year, and he is the event coordinator for the event. Now, one other thing, I almost completely forgot to mention this, but let me go to our page here, because we've been talking about this, and I want to make sure that folks don't forget about this. But let's see here. We are offering our special there at the jail and with Historic Rugby. It is our Red, White, and Boo 222 summer special. 2 haunted locations, 20 minutes apart, 2 extra hours per investigation. If you book 2 back-to-back investigations, one at the Historic Scott County Jail and one at Historic Rugby After Dark. Just kind of want to zoom in for a minute on our flyer here. A lot of people don't realize just how close these locations are. And so I've made a little map here showing here in Tennessee where we're located here at the Historic Scott County Jail and Historic Rugby. They're 20 minutes apart. And we are very, very conveniently located an hour from Knoxville, 2 hours from Chattanooga, 2.5 hours from Nashville, and 2 hours from Lexington, and 2 hours from Asheville, North Carolina. So we're kind of centrally located from all the major hubs there, as far as the Historic Scott County Jail. And of course, Rugby is just right there in our neighboring Morgan County. But the investigations, the prices are the same: $450 plus tax at the jail, $500 for Historic Rugby. So we can't give a discount on the pricing of the investigations, but we can give extra time. And so with that, we the investigations are 8.5 hours each, or excuse me, 6.5 hours each. But whenever you book a back-to-back investigation from the beginning of June till the end of August, you will get 2 extra hours at both locations. So we hope you'll take advantage of that. We've had folks that have come and investigated both, and so we hope that you'll plan to come and take advantage of it and join us for a extended weekend, an extended night there at 2 of Tennessee's most haunted locations. So anyways, all right, so let's kind of get on to talking about our investigation that we did of the World War II military cot there at the First National Bank Building. Now, back in May, we did an investigation of the cot here at my house. The cot, just to kind of recap, it has dried blood on it. The cot was, from the information that I have, the dried blood came from an abscessed tooth that one of the military soldiers had. The cot was a gift to me from a lady that has a antique store auction house. She did pass that along. That cot is going to become an exhibit at the Historic Scott County Jail. But in the meantime, it has been here at my house. And, we investigated at the house, a place that is active, but definitely not as active as the jail. Started having a little increased activity at the house. Didn't know if that was coming from the cot or coming from my house itself and the construction that's been going on here. It was a really interesting night. So we ended up bringing the cot 2 weeks ago to the bank to conduct some different experiments. Those experiments included just traditional questions. We had a tripwire, EDI box, flashlights. We had all of those sitting there on the cot, just asking traditional questions. Couple things happened. We will talk about those here in a few minutes. And then we decided to try something a little bit different because the last time we investigated the bank building, it seemed like we got some interesting activity when I stepped out of the building and wasn't present. So I wanted to see if that would cause a change in the activity we were getting. So I then walked down to the jail, left a camera on the cot, and proceeded to ask questions. I asked questions just over over the live, and then I muted my mic and asked questions over the walkie-talkie. And then we tried just pulling up questions that you were asking in the chat room. I didn't physically ask them. I asked them on the screen. So I had my laptop set up there recording in the bank on the cot, and then I had my phone recording me down here. And I felt like we got some interesting responses. So I'd kind of like to talk about that a little bit further, get some of your thoughts on that. And what I'm going to do is, so I'm going to start playing a little bit of the video, and we're just going to kind of play it through and talk about it. And we may pause it, talk a little bit, and kind of go from there. If anybody wants to, if anybody's interested and wants to come on the screen with me and uh, talk live, that's fine too. Just let me know, and I'll send you a link, and we can talk about this. So, anyways, let's see here. Looking at the comments, let's see. Hello to Joe Mizell. Always good to see you. Brandon Cooper. Hey there. And Ronnie says back to back is the way to go. Both locations are awesome. Ronnie and his team, Bedford Paranormal, did those back to back, and it was definitely a fun and interesting weekend. So thank you for the endorsement, Ronnie. I appreciate that. All right. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and pull this up now because I am broadcasting this over the computer. There may be a slight delay. Hopefully, there won't be any type of echo. But I know if I'm broadcasting it by sharing my screen, sometimes things get a little wonky. So if things get bad, just let me know. And I do apologize for that in advance. It's always easier when I can download the file and then just play it through the screen rather than sharing my screen. So let me go ahead and pull this up, and we will get on with it. So here we go. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to start about 30 minutes in, and that way, because, I was talking and doing all this. So I'm going to start about 30 minutes in. We're going to watch a little bit, and then we'll talk about it. If any of y'all have anything that you remember that you want to make sure that I do highlight, please just put it over here in the comments, and we'll go from there. So here we go. Those lights that are on that cot are purple from what I see. Are they purple from where you are? If they're purple, can you touch them to let me know that they're purple where you are? If they're a different color, can you turn on one of those flashlights? If the lights are not purple where you are. Yeah, they've got marble countertops and then marble around the floor. And thanks, Ronnie. I appreciate that. Were you a deputy that worked at the jail? Were you wanting to make sure that I got up here to the bank? You walk up, you did? My phone is freezing up when I try to, there we go. For some weird reason, I can't see the comments real big. Okay. I was just down at the jail. Did you come up to the building with me when I was down there? Did you walk up? You did? Okay. Okay, thank you. Can you turn that light off? Can you turn that light off? I want to ask another question. Thank you, Kim. Were you an inmate? Were you an inmate that followed me from the jail? Were you one of the sheriffs? Were you a deputy that worked at the jail? Were you wanting to make sure that I got up here to the bank building safely? And oh, okay. Well, thank you. Well, thank you for walking me up here and making sure I got here safely. It's not a very Thank you, Bob. I was muting my mic so that I didn't get an echo. Thank you so much. Yeah, for letting me know that. Yeah. So what I wanted to say was what's interesting about that is we got confirmation twice with this when we asked about whether that was somebody from the jail that was responding that had walked us up. Um, so first time tripwire lights up, flash and the flashlight, and then when we ask the question again later on, trying to confirm that it's a deputy, it lights up again. So, just kind of wanted to make note of that we did get positive confirmation twice when asking if this was a deputy or someone that had walked up there. Very far walk, but it's always appreciated to have somebody look out for you. Did you ever come up here and walk the ladies who worked at the bank to their car? Is the manager of the bank here? Okay, I'm going to skip ahead briefly to when we go over and pick up the ovilus. So we get the ovilus just to give them another way to communicate. So I'm skipping ahead here. On this box or you can touch one of the lights. Is it daytime right now? Okay. Okay. Go ahead and turn that off. Go ahead and turn that flashlight off if you don't mind. I want to ask another question. So it's daytime where you are. Is it ever nighttime? Does it ever turn into nighttime where you are? It's nighttime here. It's a good question, guys. Okay, let's see. And to see if there's any more comments here. So I ask if you sleep on the cot. Do you ever sleep, period? Do you sleep at all anymore? Yeah, I was reading Bob's comment. Yeah, our inmates down there at the jail get pretty protective of us. If it's really kind of funny if people come in with an. Now I do want to skip ahead just a little bit more because we had something really interesting happen. So if you've watched where I've talked a little bit about the bank building, it did serve as a bank from 1909 until the Great Depression. After the Great Depression, it closed down as a bank, and it functioned as a community health clinic. And it functioned as the health clinic up until the early 60s. After that, it turned back into a bank, and then they functioned as a bank until 2020 when COVID shut them down. It's a small branch bank. The main headquarters is there in our largest town of Oneida, so they just really didn't have the traffic to keep it going after COVID. So it's kind of interesting that we've got this military cot that was probably used um, uh, for maybe in like a infirmary of sorts. It's kind of interesting to have this sitting here in this building that was used as a former clinic. So we sort of directed the questioning after I talked a little bit about that. We kind of started directing the questioning more to the use of it as a clinic rather than as a bank. So this it was an interesting series of events that happened. So let me just kind of jump ahead here and then we'll talk about this because I'm really interested to get your opinion on this. So here we go. Do you have a favorite K ration? It says pulled and it's. I believe we got a response when we asked about the K ration there at my house, but I'd have to go back and look. And I did go back and look, and we did get a response to that. Is it noisy where you are now? I don't know what that interference sound is, by the way, on that. Oh, that's a good question. We do hear this down at the jail. Can you cough or sneeze? Now, is there anybody here with us that was ever in here when this was a clinic? We definitely, okay, now this is weird. The cat is coughing. Wow. Whoa. I don't know if y'all can hear her. Whoa. Everything is lighting up. Sally is coughing. This is lighting up. Okay, that was crossover. Chills. Yeah. Doctor. Whoa. Crossover chills and doctor and smell. Okay, doctor. That gave me chills when Sally started coughing. Okay, so I don't really know what to make of the whole thing, that whole thing that happened, but to me that was pretty wild. So I go on to explain about Sally. So Sally was a stray when she came to our jail, and she has these coughing spells. They're not like your typical cat hairball coughing spells. It's more of a deep guttural cough in her, and you also hear it kind of in her throat. The doctor examined her and said that she had a trachea injury, that don't know if she was kicked or injured it or what happened before she came, but she will have these spells where she will have this cough in her throat, and it seems to sort of be allergy related. When we have a lot of really wet weather, tends to um, cause that issue. Anyways, to me, this is really crazy because our LinkedIn user that was watching, the name escapes me right now, asked if someone could cough or sneeze, and literally directly after that, Sally starts coughing, and as soon as Sally starts coughing, the tripwire starts going crazy on the cot. Um, and then it literally goes crazy the entire time that she's coughing. And then the ovilus starts talking, and it starts saying chills, doctor, smell. Um, to me, I don't know, my opinion has really changed of the ovilus, because it really seems like in a lot of these locations that we've been investigating, that seems to be one of the tools of choice, and they seem to really talk about a lot about what is going on around us. They seem to be very intelligent and very aware, and it's just, to me, it's just kind of, I don't know how to explain it. So I thought that was a really interesting thing that happened. We really didn't get a whole lot of lights on the tripwire that night, but really interesting to have that question asked, have the cat respond, and then have whoever's in the building respond in the same way. Um, so just, I'm really interested on your thoughts on that. That really is pretty fascinating. Hello to Beth Allen. Good evening to you. Hope everything is well with you. We are good here. It is really wild. Um, that happened. I thought that was pretty interesting. We do get a lot of response when it comes to Sally. Our spirits there at the jail tend to really like her. Apparently, they really seem to enjoy her there at the bank. And I don't know. I don't know if what we're encountering is something that is connected to the cot, or if the cot is causing something to respond a certain way inside the bank there. Hello to James. Hope you're doing well. Bob says maybe it is concern for Sally with the lights and stuff. I mean, to me, that makes a lot of sense, because that seemed to be a direct response on the cot, trying to get our attention. And then when we do acknowledge Sally, that's when they start going kind of crazy. So very possible. And yeah, Sylvain, just a just a really interesting, wild, and odd occurrence. So let's see. I'm going to go ahead and start that back. I'm gonna skip a little bit because I talk about Sally there. So let me just kind of skip ahead a little bit further there.
Somebody can concur with that, that'd be great.
And I do want to mention there, Ronnie had asked if there was a weird audio disturbance before the question about the cough. And that's what I just acknowledged, that there was some kind of weird sound before that question is asked. And Ronnie hears it on here. And then I believe James also confers about that as well. So here we go. Oh, and let's see. Beth says, it's amazing, actually. Sally is definitely becoming a stellar investigator. That is the truth. We get, I am a firm believer, and we do need to do that show. I want to do a show on cats in general, but and specifically, I guess, on cats, but talking about animals and the paranormal. We'll do that as a topic here. Maybe we'll do that next week, talking about that. I mean, it's interesting because Sally has had experiences with the paranormal there, and I've heard other people talk about their stories, and it really is true. They do. There's times she'll walk into the jail and nothing will be happening, and then all of a sudden when she walks in, things start happening with the tools. She'll also lay down and it's like something's petting her, and she'll start purring and sounding like something is rubbing her. It really is amazing how it all kind of goes together. Daryl says the spirit was using Sally to answer the question, maybe. I think that's a great theory. We all talk about how our bodies, when people are asked the question on what is it that what is our favorite tool, probably 9 times out of 10, if you ask a seasoned investigator, their response will be their body, their self. And that's not even somebody that necessarily has sensitivities or spiritual gifts. I mean, when you become an investigator, you are, and if you've been investigating for a while, you tend to be really in tune with things. And so I think that Sally is just another one of those tools. And because cats and other animals see in different spectrums, and she is there 24/7. I think that that's definitely she just becomes another tool. And I will say, let me put it out there, that no spirit has ever harmed her, or none seems to um, have ill intent toward her, even though she's been put inside of rooms and things have happened. Nothing has ever been malicious. So I do want to make sure to put that out there. Bob says that he could hear that sound as well. So thank you for confirming. Beth says that will be an awesome show. Animals, especially cats, are so spiritually tapped in. Absolutely, 100%. So I say we do that. I say we do that show next Thursday night. We'll talk about animals and the paranormal, and talk about cats, because the cat network has really graced me with a lot of cats in my life here. And so yeah, I think we'll talk about that next week. Beth says she agrees with Daryl, and Sylvain says yes. And then James says you have to wonder if animals can distinguish between paranormal and normal. That's a very good point. That they're so pure, and I feel, and intent, I feel like they're a lot like children with that. I think that that's going to be a great question for next week. So I say we talk about all that and see if anyone has any stories of anything they've experienced with that, I'll save it for next week. But my dachshund that I used to have in the house that I used to live in when I was married, um, let me tell you, that dog was constantly seeing things. That house was insane. And I firmly believe it, it was probably kind of hard to distinguish between the paranormal and normal because something was always happening. But she was a good litmus test for when something was about to happen, because that dog was constantly seeing things. But we'll save that for the next show. Um, so okay, I'm gonna go ahead and get back to where I was, and then we'll watch a little bit more, and then talk a little bit more.
And LinkedIn user says, and before that, he asked if they had any pets. That is very true. That is very true. We did ask if there was any pets and if they, did you make house calls? Did you make house calls to see sick people? I swear I just heard a voice, but I couldn't make it out. Did you go make house calls if someone was sick? Okay. James said that he heard the interference with the audio. Yeah. Whoa. It was like something just hit the thing up there. And what's wild is, see, Sally is laying there. I don't know if y'all heard that sound like something. Oh, I've got some chills right now.
I'm going to rewind that.
That sounded like something. And
it sounds like it did pick it up. Sounds like it did pick that hit up that we heard.
Did you make house calls? Did you make house calls to see sick people? I swear I just heard a voice, but I couldn't make it out.
And it does sound like this did pick up that voice, but it wasn't very clear after Daryl says that what I heard, it is picking up, but it doesn't pick up very clear. But we'll listen to that hit again.
Did you go make house calls if someone was sick? Okay. James said that he heard the interference with the audio. Yeah. Whoa. It was like something just hit the thing up there. And what's wild is, see.
So, yeah, like Bob says, it was very light, but it is there. I'm starting to also put audio recorders out when we do these, just so we can go back and hear the true sound better, because my phone just doesn't pick up around like my older phone used to when we're doing this. But thankfully it did at least pick up the sound there. So so the voice, and then, which to me sounded like a male voice. I was the only person in the building. There was no males there. And then and then the slap on the counter to try to get the attention. Of course, Sally's laying there on the ground. And yeah, Daryl says that you could hear it just before I spoke. So I gotta say, I know Dee Dee, she is not on here tonight, I don't believe. But I know she asked about visiting during a dream. So hopefully next time we're on the show, she'll get back with me and let me know if anything happened. But you guys asked some really cool questions that night. We really kind of dug in deep with some of the different questions. And that was really really a lot of fun. I like all that, obviously the typical questions trying to establish who we're talking to is really good, but I really like some of those deep questions on there. Now, I'm going to fast forward ahead a little bit to, let me see here. Okay. I do want to fast forward ahead. See. Okay. I'm trying to remember to see if there was anything just before I went down to the bank. So I went down to the jail. So let me just kind of fast forward a little bit right here and see what we got going on before we go down to the bank or jail.
Maybe it was you. I don't know if it specifically belonged to somebody or if maybe it, excuse me, I don't know if it belonged to somebody or if maybe this was a cot that was in a military hospital unit. I like the open-mindedness and just kind of the different lines of questioning. Did you drain my millimeter? Okay. It says paint and can you? I can paint. Can you paint? I've never had it. I've never had it ask me a question. That's kind of interesting. Well, okay, thank you. So you can paint? Okay. This says France, puncture, and gateway. All right, so that wheels.
Now just gonna stop there. Bob says that he heard a voice right before I spoke the first time. Actually, I just heard that too. So thank you for pointing that out. Again, the hits on the tripwire were a little bit few and far between on this. So it was really interesting when they did go off. It was kind of interesting when they started talking about asking if I could draw. So I'm going to try drawing at some point here inside of the bank, or at least with the cot. Might try doing it inside the bank with the cot, see if we can maybe draw someone that that we may be talking to.
And jumped. France, blind, excel, and fire. Okay, so this is kind of fitting a little bit more. Were you in France? Were you in France during World War One or World War Two? Sorry. Were you in France? Okay, let's see what we got here. It said fire. And jumped. Yeah, I mean, that's a good point, Dee Dee. Maybe they do want me to draw something. Would you like for me to draw something a little later? I'm not going to do it during this live, but I'll do it some other time. If you can show me and tell me what you want, I can paint it for you. Oh, okay. Okay. Sometimes I draw people. Maybe I can sit and see what I can draw. If I try to draw you, will you tell me what you look like? If I ask a series of questions about what you look like and try to draw you, will you confirm that by touching the lights? That's pretty cool. We'll definitely try that. So a lot of different questions here. I'm trying to keep up.
Yeah. Bob brings up a good point. He says, I asked if they were in France, and the obelisk said jumped like skydiving into France, like a paratrooper. That's a really good point. And they said something about fire. I wonder if it fire and jumped. I wonder if it's not talking about like actual flame fire, but maybe they went under fire, and so they had to um, jump from their plane or what have you. I know when we asked the questions, I can't remember if it was a if they said that they were a paratrooper, but I know they said they were in Europe when we were asking the question, um, when it was here at my farmhouse. We got Europe, and I feel like we went down. I'll need to go back and look, but I feel like we went down the route that and determined that they may very well be a paratrooper. I know that when I played the military ad, the recruitment ad, they were really interested when it talked about bombardiers. So that would make sense to get fired upon and to have to jump. And so maybe they were forced into France. But that is very good point. And again, the possibilities of and the responses were very, very similar at both locations.
Yeah, most of those are definitely relevant. As Ronnie says, blind, fire, excel, France, jumped. Definitely relevant to the cot. I believe when we were talking, they're asking questions at my house. I think we got Europe was one of the responses. I'm pretty sure it was either Europe. Board and camera. Definitely, I've got my camera here, and that tripwire there has a cord on it. Can you just confirm again that you can see? That you can see the lights there on the cot? Yeah, Ronnie confirmed it was Europe. So maybe they're just kind of digging a little bit deeper and letting us know that they're from France. Well, thank you. This has been great so far. Um, as Bob says, jumped and France are both relevant to the cot. Were you by some chance, were you a paratrooper? Were you in an airplane? Well, this says, so sometimes things will come off different on the obelisk than they will uh, this coffin. I don't know if it's actually talking about a coffin that, we would lay in, or if it could be.
Of course, I keep forgetting to unmute my mic. Thank you for letting me know. Yes, that's exactly what I was thinking. Was that about that it could have been talking about a parachute cord. So, um yeah, it's really fascinating how it just seems like we're getting more and more pieces of the puzzle. I wish I knew more about this guy that the cot belonged to. The lady who owned the auction house, she really didn't know a whole lot of information about it. But it would be interesting to know a little bit more about what the status of the gentleman who served in World War II. Even just knowing his what branch of the military he was in would be really helpful. So I am going to skip ahead just a little bit to when we to the go down to the banks, or excuse me, I don't know why I keep saying that. Go down to the jail. Okay, that was me. I'm going to head down. There we go. It should quit echoing here. Oh, it's gotten really foggy. To the jail. And we'll see. If anything, we'll continue to ask a few questions and see if we hear anything.
or if they respond to our questions from down here. We've been getting quite a few intelligent responses while we've been there, so. It's real foggy out here, kind of eerie. The obelisk said step, press, and color. I'm just going to lock that door. They've had kind of walking around outside this evening that has been up no good. I'll lock that. Actually, I'm going to close these bars. Yeah, Bob, that's true. It really is cool to think about that. All right. Okay. So I'm going to pull myself out. No, we're not going to talk about the jail.
Now, it is funny that is interesting, Bob. I just noticed the lights light up on the cot whenever I said that I was going to close those bars. I just noticed the cot light up down there. So sort of what my thought with all of this was with by leaving. I've got a cat up here roaming around. So I really wondered. Hey, stop it. Anyways, I wondered that by leaving the building, if that would cause the activity to change. I'm curious to see if my thoughts are, I'm trying to figure out if I'm sorry, this cat is like playing with something really loudly over here. Cats are everywhere. So I'm really curious to see if somebody is interacting, if they know the questions. I mean, what are your all's thoughts? There are certain times, and we're going to play these here in a minute. There are certain times that it seems like when I pull the question up, I don't ask the question audibly. They seem to respond to it. Do you think that they know what we're asking before we ask it, or do you think they're by chance seeing what's on the screen and responding that way? I'm interested to know your thoughts on that. So let's watch a little bit more and see if there's something to talk about.
What we're talking about, the reason we're doing this separate is because when we investigated the last time, they wanted me out of the building. And so I came to the jail to get away from there. And so I'm just going to pull up questions. So I like to see if that has any influence on I like to see if that has any influence on the activity inside the location. So it has nothing to do with me being with where I'm at. I just want to see if it influences with me being in the building or not. I'm not even really sure why that's blurry. All right, I've also got my walkie-talkie. I just want to test something. to see if they can hear me through this walkie. I've got a walkie here and a walkie set up there. Let's see if it'll play. Test. Can you hear me? Test, test.
Channel 1.
Test. Can you hear me? Okay. So that will play across the walkie up there at the building. All right. If you can hear me, are you glad that I left the building?
Are you glad that I left the building?
Okay, that was cool.
Do you follow me here?
Thank you. I appreciate that. I feel like our presence influences the activity from time to time. And so I'm always interested to see if to try different things. They may seem silly, but to just try different things. Let's see. I'm going to ask a couple questions through the walkie again. So I'm going to mute my mic here and I'll ask a couple questions. So keep them coming over in the comments section.
Do you like being alone? Were you a military nurse? That your military car? Can you light up 3 lights? family still alive? You speak to me over this walkie-talkie?
Let's see. Can you keep the walkie-talkie on your end? I'm not sure what you mean on that. Um, I'm gonna try hitting the call button and just sort of see if it does anything there. I'm gonna mute my mic while it does it. That's a good question, Bob. I have the obelisk here with me, but it's kind of weird. As soon as I walk.
So, I really like this test that Bob is proposing here. He says a way to test this would be to think of a wrong answer or a third party give you info that you are not aware is incorrect and see if you get the incorrect answer for a later date. I think that's really cool. And that's why on this, I asked the questions the way I did. Several times I would post the question or show the question online here, and I would ask it over the walkie. And then there were a couple times that I decided not to put the question up and just ask it through the walkie talkie there. And I think I go through a series of questions here in a few minutes where I just ask the questions on the screen. But some great theories. I like what Daryl and Bob says. He says it might be that they can also be in multiple places at the same time, unlike us. I really, really think that that happens because, and to me, an example of that is Al Capone's ghost. I can't tell you how many ghost walks and how many locations I've investigated that apparently has Al Capone's ghost, and it's like, how could one spirit be in so many places at once? And I think they can either be in those multiple places or, in my opinion, is it could be different energy deposits, different types of spirits, or different types of energy deposited from the same spirit, based on what they were doing in those particular locations. So I really like that theory. And then I like what Bob says about, I think you are projecting your thoughts and they are reading them. That's how they answer you before you ask a question. Um, Great theory. I know that there have been several instances where we have experienced that on these different lives that we've been doing. One that comes to mind is when Tiffany was helping me with an investigation at the Heritage House there in London, Kentucky. We were doing a three-way Estes method with myself and Kelly and Tiffany. And well, technically a four-way because Christy was filming in a totally different area. Um, and both all of us had finished asking our questions, and you all were putting questions up on the comment section, and Tiffany was asking or answering the questions over the spirit box on her Estes method. based on the comments in the chat room, we weren't pulling them up, and we weren't even part of the Estes method at that point. So it is really interesting, and it does make you kind of wonder why they're doing that. We are getting up to, let's see, 20 after 10. So I'm going to skip ahead just a little bit, and we'll continue on with here before we wrap things up.
I'm gonna ask if, let's see, I'm gonna mute my mic.
Can you call me through the walkie-talkie?
Yeah, that was pretty cool. We've done a couple different lives. We were doing an Estes session at a location in Kentucky, and no, I think the flashlight is just sitting there at the edge. Now, I'm going to, instead of asking questions through the walkie, I'm just going to pull questions up. So you all ask questions over in the comment section, and I'm going to pull those up and see if we can get them to respond just by us pulling the questions up.
Okay, that was really awesome right there. Not sure what that was, but sounded like there was some kind of noise on there.
That was pretty cool. The Ovilus is with me. It died. Battery in the millimeter and the Ovilus has died. It's sitting here beside me. I just made it split screen.
Okay, this is weird. A double
I'm going to
split
mute that
screen.
again just so you don't hear this bridge that's going over here.
And the reason I did that was one of the people watching had asked if I could pull the screen on to me so that I could, so that I guess they could see what was going on there. So, and see that I wasn't doing anything.
Okay, that was kind of wild, James. Um, it looks like somebody, I don't know if Sally jumped on the cot, but it looked like somebody did right then. Can you stand up?
Okay, so let me see here. Bob says, prior to bringing the cot to the bank and gift shop, you established you had spirits at the bank. If the cot has or brings its own people, I wonder how they mix with the spirits of the bank, and better yet, the jail for the future. So that is a great point. And that's something that I kind of want to test a little bit further. So like I said, I know that we have established that there are some spirits at the bank. We've established that there are some here at my house. My house is relatively quiet in comparison to uh, the bank itself. One of the things that I would like to try with this experiment next is to actually take the cot and put it in one of the rooms of the jail, and preferably one of the active rooms of the jail. So I'm kind of thinking on the second floor, maybe put it there in the foyer. That's where we see shadow figures. That's where we see a lot of interesting things. Maybe put it in the foyer there and surround it with a tripwire, and then also put a tripwire on the cot. I say we do some of the same experiments inside the jail right there. And then I will either go to another floor, or I will go up to the bank and we can test the same thing, see if it has any differences. I think we've established, what it will do if I'm not there and if we're asking questions a certain way. But I'm very curious to see how it integrates into the jail itself, and to see if anything changes when it becomes a permanent exhibit inside the jail. I think a lot of these pieces are part of a puzzle that when they come together, I think that they're part of what some of this activity surrounds, some of the things in the jail. Again, I believe we influence that activity inside the jail. I believe that our investigators sometimes bring out the more active spirits that are there. I also think that sometimes the the energy that the people bring in can cause there to be a decrease in the activity that's there. So I think that's another good experiment to try. And I'd say, looking at the calendar, so we'll do an episode next week on animals and the paranormal. Maybe the week after that, we will continue this experiment and try investigating the cot itself inside the jail. I may even see if Chris is around, if she wants to try on some of the investigation as well, because again, she and I get different things when we're investigating at different locations. So throw that into the mix as well. But I think that's how we'll carry this experiment another step further, by bringing the cot into the jail. You know, yeah, if you guys have any suggestions on experiments when we do that, just message me and let me know. Linda says the split screen worked well. Yeah, I think it did too. I mean, in this episode, we did a lot of different experiments, and some of them I think proved to be um proved some interesting results. I'm still sticking by the coughing thing. That was just really odd. Some of my favorite things. It's not something that you can deem as being haunted or being paranormal activity, but just being unexplained and strange. I love the high strangeness of some of this, and when we get something that I just absolutely can't explain, it gets me excited and gets me just motivated to try more different things. So really, the remainder of the episode, we did have a few more things lighting up. Actually, I'm just kind of scrolling through here, and it looks like we did have a few interesting responses. There was maybe, looks like there was about another 20 minutes of the episode, and we did have some interesting responses there. But I think that since it's already 10:30, and I'm working I'm working double shifts tomorrow with the jail as well, during the day and then the night shift as well. I think that I'll say, if you want to go back and review that last 20 minutes, you can go and watch that on the Ghost Biker Explorations YouTube channel or Facebook page for the next 30 days. And just let me know those times. But there really wasn't anything any more significant than what we've talked about. So, so I really appreciate you guys tuning in tonight and reviewing the episode with me. These reviews are a lot of fun because sometimes when I'm in the moment of the investigation, I can't catch everything. Sometimes voices aren't as clear whenever we're listening to things, or I don't notice everything, but it's always cool to go back and watch because sometimes things show up on the camera that we didn't see live and in the moment. Thank you guys for your kind words. Thank you for watching with me, sharing your theories, sharing your evening is something that I truly enjoy. I hope that everyone has a wonderful night. And again, go back, review the episodes, and again, stay tuned for next Thursday night. We'll be back with another episode of the Ghost Biker Garage, and we I think we're going to talk about the topic of animals and the paranormal. If you've had any experiences with pets that are inside your home that that you feel has either had a paranormal encounter or that has essentially experienced a paranormal encounter with yourself, I would love to hear about it. I hope you'll come on, share your stories with me, and we will. I think it's going to be a fun show. Um, Linda says that she's going to put the episode on her replay list. Thank you. And thank you, Linda, for always tuning in. It is absolutely a pleasure. I'm glad you enjoyed it. And again, hope everyone has a wonderful night. If you, again, if you're if you're in the path of any of these different storms, please be safe and be aware and be vigilant because things happen very, very quickly. I do want to mention something that interesting that happened last night as I was going to sleep, and I think I'll bring this up to the dream interpreter. But I had just gone to sleep last night, and I was going over some different paranormal encounters and going over some notes and stuff. But I had just before I went to bed, and so after I went to sleep, it was one of those sleeps you where you're kind of in that in between where you're asleep, but maybe you don't realize you're asleep. I didn't think I was asleep. I thought I was actually laying there in the bed, and I had the cover kind of pulled halfway up over the side of my face. And I was dreaming I was in the jail. And I was dreaming that I was on the second floor and I was walking through, and I was dreaming that I was actually investigating, and a male voice from cell number 2 on the second floor started screaming at me. But I could not tell what it said. It was almost gibberish, but it was like almost just like I hate to even say what it sounded like, but it was just like a meow, 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 meow. And I sat up because it actually really startled me because I heard it and I really didn't think I was asleep, but I wasn't I didn't think I was asleep, but I was obviously dreaming or astral projecting, one or the other, because I wasn't in my bed when I heard it. I was in the jail when I heard it. So I don't know, but it woke me up, startled me. I was out of breath when it happened. My cats that were laying in the bed, I had 2 laying in the bed with me. They were kind of looking around. I guess I startled them. I don't think they heard anything. So I don't know. I'll be interested to talk to Dee Dee about that because who knows? Sometimes we manifest things in our dreams. Sometimes we're visited. I don't know, but it was really kind of odd. So interesting. We'll talk about this another time. But again, hope you guys have a great night, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Take care, everyone.